Hello, my name is Nicole Gurley, and I'm an Orange County Public School College Transition Counselor. Today we will be talking about the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and I will walk you through it step by step. Why should you complete a FAFSA? The first reason is that the Pell Grant, that is the free money from the government, is usually around $6,000 per year. Even if you don't qualify for Pell Grant, you can qualify for work study, where the student would work on the college campus, or low interest rate loans. Colleges use the FAFSA as well to qualify you for institutional-based aid. Some colleges, you can qualify for scholarship or grant money if your parents make under $125,000. So we encourage everyone to fill it out. If you don't fill it out, you won't get any need-based aid, and you'll never know if you are going to qualify for any scholarships or grants either. Who is eligible to complete the FAFSA? U.S. citizens and eligible non-citizens. Eligible non-citizens include U.S. permanent residents, conditional permanent residents, asylum granted, and refugees. There is a complete list of who is eligible at the website given. If the student has a social security number but the parent does not, the student can still complete the FAFSA. So to begin the FAFSA, you would go to fafsa.gov and click on Start Here. The student would then click on I am the student. Or the parent can start it and click on I am the parent. If you have not created an FSA ID yet, which is required for all students as well as one parent, please go ahead and click on Create One to get started on creating an FSA ID. To create an FSA ID, you would just click on Get Started. And then you would have to enter some personal information. Please remember to use your legal name exactly as it appears on your Social Security card. Use the student's personal email address and phone number. The parent will need a separate FSA ID with their email address and phone number. So please make sure that the student is using the student's email address and phone number, and the parent is using the parent's email address and phone number. You will also need to verify your email address and phone number now, in case there's a problem with your FSA ID in the future. So, after you have completed your FSA ID, you're going to click on Start the 21-22 FAFSA. That would be if you were starting college in August in the fall. If you are planning on starting in the summer, you would want to submit the 2021 FAFSA as well. We're going to get you through the student portion will be first, and then the parent portion will be after that. You will then enter a save key, just like a PIN number password. The year you were born, the last four of your social, something that you will remember. It will be stored for 45 days, and it'll be a quick way to log back into your FAFSA. You are then going to click Next. Feel free to read through all of the information if you would like. So the first three tabs will be the student information. This information should be input already from the FSA ID. So you will just click Next. Again, make sure you're using your personal email address, not your school-issued email. Your permanent mailing address, have you lived in Florida for at least 5 years? Yes or no? And are you a U.S. citizen? If your status is going to change this year, where you will end up getting a Social Security number this year, you may complete the FAFSA now and come back in and enter information. But you do need to have a Social Security number in order to do the FAFSA. Here, the student's going to put that they've had a high school diploma. You can go ahead and put your first bachelor's degree. That would be the student going to a four-year university, or an associate degree, or a tech certification. Only some tech programs will accept the FAFSA. The student will not have their first bachelor's degree before you begin in 2021 school year, so that will be a no. And all students will be never attended college first year. Even if the student has earned an AA degree or any dual enrollment credits, they will still be never attended college first year. Everyone should put yes to be considered for work study. This is where the student would get a job on the college campus. You will then choose male or female. If you are male, you will have to register with Selective Services. So if you have not registered yet, or you're not 18 yet, you can mark no for are you registered with the Selective Service System, and then you'd have to mark yes, that you want us to register you with the Selective Service System. Again, all males in the U.S. when they turn 18 must be registered with the Selective Service. Here you're going to put your driver's license number and the driver's license state. This is optional. You do not have to enter this information. You can leave it blank and just click next. Now it's going to start asking some questions. So if you're a foster youth or you were at any time, you're going to mark yes or no. Then you are going to put the high school completed by parent 1 and parent 2, if you have 2 parents. If you do not know, please feel free to mark unknown. You're going to then enter the name of your high school, the city in which your high school is located, and the state, and click on Search. This should pull up the high school that you attend. When you find the high school that you attend, go ahead and click Select. Then you will click Next. This is the page where you're going to start adding the colleges that you are applying to. You can add up to 10 colleges on your FAFSA. If you need to add more, you can do so after submitting your FAFSA. You would log in, delete some colleges after it's been processed, and add the others that you are applying to. When you know your final school that you will be attending, make sure it's on your list. After you've entered the school information, you would click on the box and then go ahead and click Add More Schools if there are more schools that you will be applying to. Again, you can add up to 10 schools, or you at least have to add 1 school for now. Then you're going to choose if you're going to be living on campus or with your parent. And your marital status. Again, this is the student information, if the student is married or single. This now will ask if the student has any children of their own that they pay for. Again, this is for the student, and if the student has any children that they support financially. Here are some other questions that would change the student from dependent, needing the parent information, to independent, where the student would not need any parent information. At any time since you turned age 13, were both your parents deceased, were you in foster care, or were you a dependent or ward of the court? As determined by a court in your state of legal residence, are you or were you an emancipated minor? This means that you have gone through a legal process that gives a teenager who is under 18 legal independence from their parents. Does someone other than your parent or step-parent have legal guardianship of you? As determined by court. This is not educational guardianship. You will need to have court documentation that you are under legal guardianship. On or after July 1st, 2020, were you homeless or were you self-supporting and at risk of being homeless? If you mark yes here, you can be classified as independent as well, but you will have to prove this at the college that you attend. Here's where you will need to provide parent information. If you did not mark any of the other previous responses yes, which have made you independent, again, you will need to provide parent information. If you have a special circumstance that you are unable to provide your parent information, you can click that you're unable to provide information about my parent and mark for the special circumstance. You would then have to speak with the financial aid department at the school you're going to attend and explain your special circumstances and why you cannot supply parent information. Now we're on to the parent portion. So you will need your parent information. As of today, what is the marital status of your parents? So here you are going to be using the parent that you live with the majority of the time, or that supports you financially. If that parent that supports you financially is remarried with a step-parent, you will need your step-parent's information as well. Keep track of who you use as parent 1 and parent 2. You will need that information later. So you will enter your parent's social security number, last name, first initial, parent date of birth, parent's email address, and then click Next. It is going to ask you the same information for the other parent if you have two parents. So again, if your parent is remarried, parent 2 would be your step-parent's information. Have your parents lived in Florida for at least 5 years? This would be yes or no. Your parents will be imported from the previous screen, so this will be either a 1 or 2, depending on what you marked. Yourself, this will always be 1. Your parents' other children, even if they don't live with them, but that they financially support them, would be the number of siblings that you have. Then it's going to ask other people. Do you have grandparents that live at your house that your parents support financially? Or anybody else that your parents support financially? This is not siblings. This is others. Then you're going to mark the number in college. How many people of you and your siblings will be attending college? You can always mark the question mark in order to get more information. Now we are going to talk about your parent tax filing status. If your parents completed their taxes in 2019, so this is last year's taxes, you will put already completed. You're going to type the income tax return that your parents filed and how they filed their taxes. If they are married and filed a joint return or head of household, you will be able to click Link to IRS. This tool automatically populates your parent financial information directly from the IRS. It makes the FAFSA a lot easier to complete. So you will click on Link to IRS exactly as it's written on your 2019 tax return. So even if you've moved, you need to remember the address that your parent used on the 2019 taxes. If the data retrieval tool has worked, these numbers will say transferred from IRS. If the IRS data retrieval tool did not work, sometimes identity theft, change of name, or other issues will cause it to not work. That is fine. You'll just need a copy of the IRS Form 1040 and follow the lines directly as it tells you. So here you would use your IRS Form 1040, line 8B, and enter the number directly into this. Again, if you are able to use the IRS data retrieval tool, the number will be showing transferred from IRS. Here, if you are needing, you will need to fill this information even if transferred from the IRS. The easiest place to find this information is on the parent's W-2s. If not, you can add up all of the lines that it tells you to. For parent 1, so remember who you used for parent 1, and for parent 2. It's then going to ask if your parent is a dislocated worker. This is a parent who has lost the job due to circumstances outside of their control, for example, COVID. You can also click on dislocated worker in order to hear more information. Then you will mark any of the checkboxes in which your family receives. We are still with parent information from the taxes. And some more information. Again, feel free to click on any of the question marks. And then it's going to ask about child support. Again, all the question marks are there if you needed more assistance. This one's going to be the child support received for the children. And other untaxed income not reported. Disability benefits, workers' compensation, etc. For parent information, do you want to skip questions about your parent asset? Please click yes if your parents don't have any assets and you'll avoid the questions below. Or you can click no and enter in the numbers of how much your parents' total current balance of cash, savings, and checking account is, net worth of investments, current businesses, or investment farms. Now we are back to the student information. So this is going to be if the student filed taxes in 2019. So if the student worked in 2019 and filed taxes, you will mark already completed. If the student did not work or did not file taxes because they didn't make enough money, you're just going to mark not going to file. If the student did work in 2019, please use the link to IRS again for the student information. Again, only if the student filed taxes in 2019. Adjusted gross income. If you did not file taxes, you will not see this screen. If you worked in 2019 but didn't file taxes, you'll be asked how much you made. You can estimate to the best of your ability. Income tax for 2019. Again, all student information. So most of these will be 0 because this is for the student. Then you would mark how much the student currently has in cash, savings, or checking account. And probably zeros for real estate and farms. Here, you'll most likely mark no. The preparers, if anyone charges a fee to fill out the FAFSA. Then you will be able to review to make sure all of your answers were correct. Now is where you will provide both the student signature and the parent signature. You will need the FSA ID that you have created. You will click on Agree and sign this FAFSA. Then you will enter your FSA ID information. Then you will click on Parent Signature. Click the parent who made an FSA ID, so Parent 1 or Parent 2. You will only need one FSA ID, one parent to sign. Make sure it matches the Social Security number, the last name, and date of birth. Agree and sign this FAFSA. Then you will click Submit my FAFSA now. You will then be taken to a confirmation page. This will let you know that your FAFSA has been received. Your estimated family contribution, your EFC, will show. This is how much the government thinks your family can pay for college. You will also be able to log back in a couple of days and view your student aid report. This is where you will be able to see how much Pell Grant money you have received, which is the free money from the government. So you'll be looking for an email that says you have submitted the FAFSA, and in a couple of days you should receive an email that says your FAFSA was processed successfully, or if it has found any errors that you need to correct.